Hello, Fightful Faithful. Welcome to another episode of the Sour Graps NXT post show. Kate is with me, as always. I'm your host, Alex Pawlowski. Kate, last week, our Tuesday show had a different feel to it for a very different reason. If you were looking forward to just another fun romp, getting back to normal, well, unfortunately, the news of Jay Briscoe's passing hit the wrestling world very hard during NXT. And I know you are the ROH girl. And so I know you have a special relationship as a fan with Jay Briscoe and his brother. And I just wanted to give you the floor to say something.
First of all, I'm sure everybody watching this has seen by now that Jay Briscoe passed away at 38 years old in a car accident. It does sound like children were in the car, was the latest report, and that they are hospitalized, which is just horrifically sad. Jay Briscoe kind of preceded my ROH fandom. He's been there so long, and what's kind of crazy is when you see wrestlers who are as connected to their fan base as he was. When you see Nick Gage with GCW, I think Eddie Kingston with AEW certainly has that. It doesn't matter how long you've been a fan. It really, really doesn't. And when I went to Final Battle in 2021, I was seated. We got listed for tickets. And I was seated up where like the friends and family were. And when their match against OGK started, I turned to my left and like it felt like half the section had cleared. And it was such a weird situation because nobody knew what was going to happen after Final Battle. And I was like, what's going on? And I realized what had happened was half that section left because OGK and the Briscoes were about to have their match. And they let the entire Briscoe family and clan come down to the ring and stand right around the side of it. And it was such an incredible moment because it was just his legitimate family who had seen them in ROH over and over again. So proud of their dad, husband, uncle, whatever. So excited to see him wrestle. Just sad. Just really sad that got taken away. And, a husband and a father before anything else, but an incredible wrestler too. What do we even say about their 3 matches with the Briscoes this year? I'm looking at I tried to prepare some notes because I knew this was going to happen, but like IWGP tag team champion and never open weight 6-man champion, 3 times GCW tag champ, 1-time Impact tag champ, 13-time ROH tag champ, ROH 6-man tag champ with his brother and Bully Ray, 2-time world champion at ROH, right? And the amount of matches that you can go back and watch. Gosh, Briscoes versus Kevin Steen and El Generico. What are those guys up to in wrestling today? Motor City Machine Gun, CM Punk and Colt Cabana, Marufuji and Takashi. Considering he was only 38 when he passed away today, the fact that he had 2 decades of a legacy in wrestling behind him already is pretty incredible. And you just, it's such a freeze you in your tracks kind of thing. There's not really a ton else to say about it outside of just as many healing thoughts to their family and their loved ones and everybody who's affected by it. Just 38-year-old husband, dad, wrestler. And of all the dangerous things someone can do in a wrestling ring, he'd done them all. Just a really, really sad situation. We've got Jeremy actually coming in, so I'm going to let him talk because he would know more. Yeah. Hey, Jeremy.
I don't know any more than anybody else does. I just came on here to say rest in peace, Jay Briscoe. Best to his family, his friends, everything. We Alex, you know, as a father, it is, and look, I'm only a stepdad, but like these are when you sorry, someone so young with kids, and just I can't even imagine, and it's awful, and I hate everything they're all gonna have to go through, because I can't imagine. And whatever memories he gave me as a fan, him as a wrestler, like my heart really just goes out to the entire family, because just going through that again, I I can't imagine it, and I don't want to take up anybody's time. I just want to say, like, you know, whoever you love, whoever it is, friends, family, whatever it might be, just tell them, let them know, and just let them know how important they are, let them know how special they are, because fuck, man, like, you know, everybody's kind of mentioned it, like the photo from 6 hours before, and just how happy he was, and you check his, like, I think it was like Facebook stories or something, and the photos, and just everything, and like like fuck, and, like, I so yeah, that's like, that's really like that's all I just wanted to pop in and say, and thank you guys. And uh yeah, Jay Briscoe gave a lot to me as a wrestling fan, just watching him throughout the years, and all the great moments he had and the great matches he had. And I will forever say that the Briscoes never got the love they deserved, because they never went to like one of the bigger companies or anything. And I was really happy that they started to get it last year, and it really felt like they were about to enter, like, honestly, like a new chapter in their entire wrestling career. And it just sucks. This is awful. And again, my heart just goes out to like his entire family, because losing a brother, a father, a son, like, I'm gonna go spend time with the wife. I wanted to just come on and tell you guys thank you for all the work that you do. I appreciate you guys, and yeah, love everybody in the chat. Thanks everybody, and yeah, RIP Jay Briscoe, and everyone. Be safe, have a good night, and just another fucking sad reminder that just tell everyone that you love them when you get a chance, because you don't know. Thank you guys. I love y'all.
Love you, Jeremy. Just for some ground rules in the chat, please don't speculate on anything that hasn't been reported by Fightful, for very different reasons than last week. Obviously, this is a much more different issue, and anything that was controversial about him, now is not the time or place. Zero tolerance. You will be banned. Not for it tonight. So just, I know there's a lot of well-intentioned speculation of people just trying to understand what the full situation is, because it still sounds like it's ongoing. But we're going to stick to things that Fightful has reported and confirmed for tonight. And I'm sure we'll be talking about this throughout the night. So I don't know what the hell we do, Alex. What do we do? I will say, in case people were looking to see if Sean was going to come on, he won't be joining tonight. This was a night off, and he had other plans. So
the way that I always phrase it whenever I hear about something like this is as I kind of do a takeoff of the very old saying, there but for the grace of God go any of us at any time. Not in a religious way, just literally, just, you have no idea when it's your last moments. in something like this that could be taken from your loved ones that quickly. It is one of my greatest fears as a husband and father, that you'll just get that call and it's like you never got a chance to say goodbye, any of that. Like, it is an incredibly sobering thing when something like this happens to somebody. Somebody that, listen, if there's one dude in the world who's basically indestructible, it's Jay Briscoe. All of the stuff that he put himself through, and nobody actually is. And it's something as simple as this that could take him from us, from his family and his friends and his fans. It's just a very sobering thing. You never would expect it. And I want to say I don't do a lot of praising of NXT, but I will say it was unexpectedly incredibly classy of them to send regards and condolences and bring up Jay Briscoe on the air. This them acknowledging somebody who never wrestled for their company in any way for any reason seems like it seems completely alien. And I'm so happy that they did. It was the right thing to do. And it was done in a very somber and classy way, and I'm good props to NXT for doing that. We have a lot of chats about this, and I'm going to read through them so we can get to something else. I don't know. It's a really hard thing to talk about. So
we're going to do our best.
We're going to do our best.
That's all we got.
Yep. Matt Reichel says, gutted and heartbroken. Love you, Alex and Kate. Sending my thoughts and prayers to the Pugh family. Godspeed. Orion Ben 666 says RIP and thank you, Jay Briscoe. Magic in the ring. Michael Dammit says RIP, Jay Briscoe. Drew Oakley says, much love to everyone. Prayers for Jay and his family. Thanks for your strength, Kate and Alex, for coming on in light of this tragic news. Yeah, I mean, we're here ostensibly to review an episode of NXT. That's what we were here for last week, and that didn't happen either. So we'll see how this goes. I take no pleasure in being the person that has to be on the air to relay this to people who may have not. There are people in the chat coming in who legitimately did not know. And yeah, it's a shock. And
I will just say, because I've seen the numbers coming in and out, so I will just say we're not speculating on anything else that isn't confirmed by Fightful specifically. We're not going to talk about anything that hasn't been confirmed about other victims, etc.
AT says the promo when Jay and Mark were in a barn and the gun went off, legendary. R.I.P. Jay Briscoe, top 5 dead or alive. Yeah, they were one of the greats, and so was he just by himself. But like the tag team itself. Tom LaValle says, "Tell your people that you love them when you can. Absolutely, every day, as many times as you can. There'll never be too many times that you tell the people that you love them." And Tom LaValle says, "I love each and every one of you in the SGS. Be good to each other." Absolutely. Jake Salazar says, tonight is a really sour, somber, depressing, awful night. RIP to an absolute legend and a trailblazer. You'll be missed and loved. Shadaki29 says, news like this is a reminder of how stupid tribalism in wrestling is. And as someone who lost a parent at a young age, my heart especially goes out to his children because that is a pain that never leaves you. Rest in peace, Jay Briscoe. He was an absolute legend in the ring. But there's no fan out there who will miss Jay Briscoe as much as his family will. And it's a kind of a very sobering thing when you think of a public figure who is known by so many millions of people, but it's not the same as losing a piece of a family member. we are going to move on, and we'll probably come back to this as well. But yeah, it's gonna be a tough one for the rest of the night. But we're gonna try, and we'll read the room. We'll see how much hijinks people are in the mood for. But sometimes laughter can be healing, and we'll see what people want.
I said it kind of in our communication and setting up the show. I was like, we're either gonna have a very like not wrestling, not silly night, or it's gonna be everybody needs Linder now more than ever. So we're gonna do the best that we can, but whatever you guys want to talk about is what we're gonna talk about. We're gonna get through the show as much as, but to be completely honest, once the news broke, I was not like, oh, I'm a real student of this episode of wrestling television that's on my TV. Like I took in very, very little about this episode today.
Yeah. Well, as is tradition, NXT gave you very little to take in. So yay, we're already making the jokes. Chris Mueller says, Kate and Alex, you always do such a great job when you have to cover news beyond the shows you watch. Thank you for the compliment.
Thank you.
I don't know, man. I don't know how you do. I don't know what else you would do. So thank you, though. Tell your people you love them. Absolutely. R.I.P. Jay Briscoe, 100%. And Matthew Plus, playing the babyface tonight, says, hadn't heard of the Briscoes before FTR. They captured my attention immediately, and I became invested. Following a learning experience, Jay became active in youth LGBTQ plus charities. Maybe give one of them a visit tonight in his honor. Love to you all. Yeah, it's true. Yeah. He did a lot of stuff to atone for past things, and I think that's part of why he should be remembered in learning from people's mistakes.
Go read what Effie had to say about him. It's the best.
Yeah. Meet Normus says, let's be honest. The NXT is superfluous most Tuesdays. So do what you got to do, but RIP Jay Briscoe.
Yeah. A very astute point. A very astute point.
Yeah.
I will say, when I set up the broadcast for the show, and 3 of the things that were promoted in graphics were just talking segments, didn't even say what about, just chatting. Yeah. I was like, I think we're going to have a light episode today. Because it was just like Toxic Attraction speaks and New Day also speaks. I was like, oh, we're just Grayson Waller speaking tonight.
You know what the big thing happening next week is? 3 women speaking in a summit. Yeah, just talking. NXT action. It's fantastic. There's not much to talk about, so we'll figure out ways of doing some tributes to Jay along the way. Mr. Showtime says, sending heartfelt love to my SGS family and to you, Alex and Kate. Death is part of life, but it's never easy. Wishing you all health and happiness. It shouldn't be part of life at 38. That's the thing that always, like, every time I hear about, this is it's a weird thing for me to say. My father's mother died when I was like 10, 11. She was 68. My mother's mother died when she was 96. And I always feel like there's to me, there is a level of longevity and tragedy is like an inverse on the thing of, like, if you've lived that long, my God bless you. And you've had such an amazing full life. The younger a person goes, the more tragic it is to me, especially if they leave behind kids, all that kind of stuff. I always try and look at it in a way of like, okay, how much time did they have left? And then you think about the tragedy of that. It's always tragic when death is there. But to have them taken in a blink of an eye at 38 years old, to me is such a tragedy. And it's one that is again, as a father and a husband and a friend of so many people that I have it's one of those things of the longest time I had a recurring nightmare that my mom called me and told me my brother had died in a car accident, and it was because my brother and I were estranged for a while for no real reason. It's not that we hated each other. We just never talked or whatever. And after that spate of nightmares, I was like, this is stupid. I'm going to call my brother. We're going to talk about stuff. So like, it was just that kind of a thing that just, it's a weird thing. I feel like I'm just.
No, you're right though. It's actually, what you were saying about your grandparents. I had one of my grandparents died when I was in 7th grade. And then I lost my last grandparent last year, and he was ready to go. And there's this I heard someone say it. One of the hunky actors who I don't know the names of because I'm old now was in an interview and said the thing about grief is it's unexpressed love. And so when you frame it that way, it's like actually kind of beautiful. When you think of that in the spectrum of like age, it's like you lost out on like 30 years of love or 90. Like it's a good way to think about it. But you're right. That's a tough one.
Mr. Best in the World 5.
Oh my gosh, CM Punk is here again.
Shane McMahon is in the chat. Shane McMahon's in the chat. Mr. Best in the World 5 says, just started watching you guys. NXT reviews. Just started watching your guys' NXT reviews a few weeks ago. Love listening to them on my way to work or for some good background noise. Love the Linda character. Thanks, guys. R.I.P. Jay Briscoe.
I'm very sorry that you started watching a few weeks ago because you got if a few is 3, you got our weird review for the first time, a 4-hour Vince marathon, and this. So they're as normal as we get other weeks, I promise.
Right. Yes. DNC Digital says bittersweet when it unites the wrestling community. I always knew of them, but got introduced this past year. Starting watching promos while holding my daughter, and we're going to binge the FTR trilogy. Yep. I think a lot of people.
That's the best way to honor it. I always say that. Go watch the matches.
Knew who they were, but maybe hadn't seen a lot of their work. And then this past year, that trilogy with FTR may have, put some people onto them for real. And I think the best way to honor their work is to go back and watch some stuff. I've been seeing people who are absolute scholars of wrestling who like catalog every match. There was apparently the first match they had against each other. They were a combined total of 35 years old. Like just the idea of how long they've been doing it, how long that both the Briscoes have been doing it. It makes no sense that he's somehow only 38. You know what I mean? Like just the idea of because I know they've been around forever. It's so funny. It's so odd to think of them of him as being only 38 when you know what an incredibly long career he had already had.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. How many athletes in general have been doing their craft for 2 decades and might be just entering their prime? Like that's crazy, especially with something as physical as wrestling, right? So
Kai says honor is real and so is redemption. R.I.P. Jay Briscoe. Yes. Spine on the Pine says thank you for putting a space for fellowship and to laugh and remember it's so needed on nights like tonight. Rest well, Jay. You freaking ruled.
For me too, guys. Like for us too. I so appreciate whenever anybody says that we're able to offer them some relief. It's the biggest compliment we can get. A close number 2 is I don't watch NXT, but I watch your review show. That is up there. But on nights like tonight, it's a space where I get to come to. And shout out to our moderators for what they do because they're the reason it's a safe space.
Yeah. NCB says rest in paradise, Jay Briscoe. Woke up today and heard the Kevin Nash podcast. Hit me really hard. Now this terrible news. Tell your people you love them. I love you to the SGS. Kate and Alex, be kind to everyone because life is precious. It doesn't cost you anything to be kind. That's what I always say. Jam Beard says, never really watched ROH before AEW bought them. Always saw YouTube clips of the Briscoes, but that trilogy with FTR had me hooked as a fan for them. At 38, hits different when you're almost the same age. Yeah, man, that's crazy. I always think of like the blink of an eye, freak occurrence type things. When I was in college, there was a guy a couple years behind me who was just driving home for Thanksgiving weekend on the interstate, and a pickup truck in the oncoming lane hit a bump, and a tire in the back of the pickup thing wasn't properly secured, flew through the air at 80 miles an hour into his windshield. He survived, but he was paralyzed from the waist down. And he had, like, just the idea of his car would have had to have been in that specific spot, because if he was 100 yards ahead or 100 yards behind, nothing happens.
Nothing.
But his entire life changed because in the blink of an eye, just a freak occurrence like that can change everything. Thank God that guy lived, but like that's his entire life has changed. This is another thing just the idea of the car accidents thing just freaks me out entirely, because you could never tell. You can never tell when's happening. It's not, even if it's not your fault. Those things always
big time
freak the hell out of me. It's like I'm gonna have anxiety all night just thinking about it, because that's just my own thing, my own little nervy thing about it. Yeah.
Well, it's just like you said, he seems so indestructible. Like with the style of wrestling that they do too was like they're not like skirting around any bumps, I'll put it that way. So it just, when you think of what that guy has lived through, when it's something that's just an everyday activity, it's just it freezes you in your tracks.
It really does. Kim Gray says, I'd like to cancel my free trial of 2023. My baby had surgery. My in-laws lost their home to fire 2 days ago. Now this. Love your people.
Oh,
always love your people. And I'm so sorry to hear about your family's loss, Kim. It's and I hope your son is doing well after the surgery. We never know what other people's stuff is. I always try and think like everyone's doing the best with what they got going on in their life right now, and you never understand where anybody is. And the empathy, kindness costs you nothing. Try and just understanding we're all human beings and trying to get through this life, and who knows what happens. It costs you nothing just to be good. Robert Lyle says, this tragedy is a reminder to be quick to apologize and be quick to forgive. Anger and grudges are pointless. Prayers for Jay's family. Yeah.
I mean, you hold a pretty good grudge, and I would say I do against HBK, but they're not like real ones. Don't hold real grudges. Hold sour ones, but not real ones. Yeah.
No.
Don't be quick to drop booking grudges.
No. I'll hold a grudge for some of the booking decisions that I've seen over the years.
Sure, but not like a
personal
real
ones.
grudge.
No. I had a mini falling out with my best friend in the world, and I at the time I didn't think we were ever going to speak to each other again. And that passed, and we're still best friends. We live on opposite ends of the country, so we never get to see each other, but we talk all the time. It was so pointless, the thing that I was pissed at him about and all this kind of stuff. And it was just like, okay, well, that's dumb. Let's put that behind us. And there you go.
Have you ever done the thing where you're like holding grudges and then you can't even remember what it was about? That's like my favorite. I've done that multiple times. And then I look in the mirror and I'm like, you don't even remember what you were upset by. Like, what are you doing carrying this around? Right.
Thank you, Jeremy Thomas, for the donations. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Jockey29 says, instead of puns, because that wouldn't be good tonight. How about favorite Briscoe's memories? For me, it may be recency bias, but my God, that trilogy with FTR should be cataloged as one of the greatest in wrestling history. It certainly will.
It's certainly not recency bias. It might be
No.
3 of the best tag matches of all time.
Oh, 100%. And I think also that the unfortunate, tragic nature of it is that it will be remembered for the fact that the capper of that trilogy was Jay's last match in ROH.
Yeah.
At all, I think. It's like just the idea that the one he went out on was one of the very best tag matches of all time only adds to the legacy and the legendary status and the tragedy of this whole situation.
I'm just gonna we've had so many people coming in and out. We're only talking about things that have been confirmed by Fightful Select. There is still ongoing stuff with this car accident, but we're not speculating. We're not talking about anything other than what we know at Fightful. And by the way, I think I said Fightful Select. Sean doesn't paywall this stuff.
No.
Apologies if I said Select. This will be on Fightful.com. This is not something that gets paywalled because that is, in Sean's words, icky. So
yeah. Neruban says I was heavy into ROH in 2008, 2010. I saw the Briscoes versus Kings of Wrestling at Death Before Dishonor 2010. Wow. At that event. That's crazy. I stopped watching wrestling for 11 years. Seeing them against FTR last year was incredible. Like, imagine being really heavy into ROH from 2008, 2010, and then leaving being a fan for 11 years. And you come back 11 years later, and the Briscoes are still going at it, having amazing new matches with new people. That's the thing I think that will stand the test of time, that will make them the Briscoes, Jay and his brother Mark, special in the eyes of a lot of fans, is the fact that they just did it for such a long time, they think about the eras of ROH, that they were a constant, and the whole thing changed over and over again. People coming in and out. You have it's just crazy that they were a constant. ROH changed, but they never did. That was them the whole time,
And they just I don't know. It's incredible how synonymous they are with ROH, but how expansive of a legacy they have. They held the Impact titles. They had a 3-year New Japan tour. The impact they made on GCW. And look at all these AEW fans that found out about them because of what happened this year, right? So, I'll say my favorite moment was definitely watching. I thought something happened in the crowd. When I tell you that his family got up to go down to the ring when they were about to wrestle OGK, and I thought a section was clearing out because production was going to do a thing or something. No, it was just his family losing their minds, going down to ringside to watch that match. As far as matches go, that first one with FTR, a double dog collar match, I think because no one's ever really done it, and it was perfect on the first try. Man, that's just such a special legacy to leave behind.
Jam Beard with a correction for me. Not just one of the best tag matches of all time, but one of the best matches of all time, period.
Yeah.
Sure. Absolutely. I won't argue with that at all.
If you're one of the best tag matches of all time, you're one of the best matches of all time, because tag wrestling is the best wrestling.
Tag wrestling is it certainly can be, especially when it's the Briscoes and FTR, the best kind of wrestling. Sheldon Jackson says one of my favorite Jay Briscoe moments is when he won the ROH World Championship from Kevin Steen, now Kevin Owens. WrestleMania weekend, Supercard 2013. Reach for the sky, boy. Yeah. RP Jay Briscoe.
Was the other one, if anybody in the chat knows, I think was his first one Samoa Joe? Did he win the other one off Samoa Joe? Let me know in the chat. I feel like that's right.
Orion Ben says early ROH, Jay and Amazing Red face Mark and Xavier. 5-star.
Lord.
That is early. Henry T. Casey says, thank you both for being here for us. Thank you, NXT, for being so vacant that we have time to fill with something that matters. Listen, I'm perfectly. It's as you said. It's not only find a space for you guys to come in and chat, but it's therapeutic for us as well. Man, I want nothing better than to watch just a normal bad episode of NXT next week and then just clown it for 2 hours. Just
and
please,
not 4. Yeah, that would be good.
No. Like the thing is, we barely got to do any clowning last week. We were being so somber about something that turned out to not be true yet, and this is much worse because it's an actual real life shit and a horrible tragedy for a man and his family.
There's even the best episode of wrestling in the whole wide world doesn't matter in comparison, right? But they did leave a really nice gap there. It doesn't feel like we're missing anything, you know?
All I want is just to be able to do silly voices and make fun of Double Vest in the Beach. That's all I want to do. And I feel like we're not even gonna get there tonight. Like this is just. That's what I wanted, because you know what that means. That means we're back to normal, and that's what we got. We got to get back to normal because this doesn't feel good. This doesn't feel like a good thing. You know,
if there's not at least 4 other voices, it just feels wrong. Yeah. Like if you're just speaking your normal voice, like something is very wrong if we don't hear at least 4 different characters.
Yeah. Yellow Boy says, "Here's money because Kay Elizabeth is an amazing human being."
Oh, thank you.
Nice. That's nice.
I'll pay you your half on the other side.
Paul Elizabeth making predictions or at least requests. Says, "Greetings, SGS, Team Kalex, Supermod Luis, and Uber Sour Grapper JW Pringle. Maybe under 4 hours tonight." Listen, no promises. Wasn't
maybe.
Yeah, no, maybe we'll see. I don't know. JB Pringle says, "Much love to Alex, Kate, Papa Paul, Elizabeth, the sisters, Louise, and all of the SGS. Make sure you tell those that you love them. I love all you guys. Truly, our weird family is great. It is. I'm very, very happy to have been the catalyst for a lot of people to find each other and have a support system through this. It's one of the best things that I've ever been able to do. It's a weird thing to think that, but I when I step back and think about how many, just the idea we've created a support system for people. It feels good. It feels a lot better than the news we got tonight for sure. Aaron Kubisak says, "Saw the Briscoes at GCW Art of War games last year, and the energy they carried in that building was powerful. Jay Briscoe forever." Yeah. So Luis helping us out. His first title win was Steen. Second was Michael Elgin.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, well, I'm sure we'll get back to more of these. Luis, I'm going to start going through the show. It probably won't, be a lot of, insightful analysis, but Luis, if you could just drop whatever new stuff we get about Jay into right above where I'm at in the rundown, that would be great. So I don't have to scroll up and down. So here we go. Danny Valentine says, "I'm completely gutted. I just saw him wrestle last month in Queens in his last match." There we go, his last match. This just does not compute. Rest in peace, Jay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just I don't think anybody was anything other than stunned tonight. Like it just haven't like inhaled or exhaled in like hours, you know?
Yeah. Okay, so I don't know if you know this, but Axiom is always smiling. I don't know how anybody would know this, but Vic Joseph apparently knows that Axiom is always smiling under the mask, and that was a joke that I was all ready to make and do a whole bit about, of whether or not my Axiom is smiling.
Ooh.
Can you guess whether or not I'm smiling? And that was a joke I was gonna do. I was gonna do a run through the entire show, and then we got the news like 6 minutes later of Jay's passing, and I was like, oh well, that's not great.
No, but look out for next week. We'll launch that idea then.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Now Axiom's like a weird comedy character. What a trajectory from being a kid to a luchador to a comedy luchador. It's like it's a lot on an 11-year-old.
It really, really is. Apollo Crews and Axiom, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So let's take on Carmelo and Trick. And they won. Apollo won with like one of those little like Carmelo tried to do a victory roll and he sat down on him and pinned him. So
yes.
Yep. That's
hey, if you like this archetype type, you can see it in the main event tonight where they do the same thing. The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Yes.
But great ring wise, as you would expect. Like Trick held his own pretty well tonight. I thought the rest of these guys are phenomenal. And Carmelo Hayes, I just don't think he's gonna get a world title run. I can't imagine he's not getting called up.
It's
Rumblemania, SummerSlam. Like
it's so odd. Like it's one of those deals where, like, some of those old NXT title runs weren't incredibly long. They were like from takeover to takeover, and that was it. Like, they weren't really long. So the idea of we got to put this thing on Braun Breaker and have him hold it forever. When you got a guy on your roster as ready to be the guy in your company as Carmelo Hayes is, like, it feels odd they never even ran the program. They never even did a Braun Breaker versus Carmelo Hayes program.
I mean, so still might.
Carmelo, they still might. But if you say, and I still also think that they're going to call him up sooner than later, they're already wasting time with this Grayson Waller stuff. Like, if the plan is, we are going to let him have the match with Braun Breaker at Stand and Deliver.
That's what I think.
Yeah. That's the thing. Great. It just feels like you're unnecessarily putting that off for a while longer. Yeah, it's weird. Ronald Hollick says, reach for the skies, everyone. Love to yell. Never will forget. Ladder Wars, Kevin Steen and El Generico versus Briscoes. Man Up, 2007. Look at like Generico and Steen, Owens and Sami Zayn, where they are at the absolute top of WWE, and the Briscoes, like, never, like, for whatever reason, they've just been the absolute best, quote unquote, independent tag wrestlers ever forever. There's no aspersions being cast. It's just like, because that's an amazing thing. They were every bit as good as any of the tag teams that were champions in WWE or AEW for the last 15 years. Every bit as good, if not better.
And actually, both major TV promotions had interest in them in some way, shape, or form. Okay, so people that are saying Roxanne and Lyra are enemies and Cruz and Axiom are enemies, it's the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Right.
Not we're enemies, but we have a common enemy.
No, right.
It's the enemy of the person that I despise. So they don't have to be friends. They just have to be the common enemy of the enemy.
Right. Apollo and Axiom have nothing in common and have never interacted until both of them don't like Carmelo and Trick. Therefore, we're a tag team. They did the same thing with Lyra and Roxanne in the main event, because that's kind of what they do. They don't have a lot of ideas.
Or technically.
Anthony Landry says, "Thank you for the pivot from NXT to have this forum. We're going to be pivoting back and forth, I think, for the rest of the show. Entertainers and athletes and their families know that they give a lot of who they are to the fans. Thank you for what you gave us, Jay. R.I.P." There you go. See, that's a really good way of putting it, because you give a lot of who you are, what you are to the people outside. But there's always going to be that you don't give, that is going to be reserved for the family. Yeah, it's tough. Orion Ben 666 says, the only thing that cheered me up a little was Mello wearing the wrestling club hoodie on here tonight.
Hell
Those kids
yeah.
are the brightest thing in wrestling on a night of horrible tragedy in the wrestling world. The idea that wrestling fandom is absolutely going to be carried decades into the future by kids like the wrestling club is awesome. It really is.
So I started watching in 2009. If there was a wrestling club at school, and like someone was talking to me about New Japan, he's like posting the reports. Victor Perry will put up the reports of wrestlers that his kids have submitted, and it'll be like Julia and Stardom, and I'm like, what the heck? This is the coolest thing ever. Yeah. My parents are so lucky, because I would have tried to have been a wrestler, I think, if I had found it earlier.
No,
they would have been so mad. This is the thing. They would have been supportive, but I would never wish that on any parent.
So, my wife is terrified that our incredibly hyperactive daughter is going to jump off something high if she watches wrestling. So we don't allow her. We don't let her watch the wrestling because she has no impulse control. She would absolutely do elbow drops off of the tallest thing she could find if she knew that was a thing she could do. So we're just not letting her do that until she's older. Maybe then she can start watching with Dad. But it's very funny. Whenever she comes down to get a drink of water or something while I'm watching, I'll pause it so that she can't watch it. So, Daddy, are you watching your big guys? And that's what she calls it. Your big guys. And then she always gets very confused and excited when I pause during a women's match, because I didn't know your big guys had girls too. And so I'm not going to be able to stop her from being an incredible wrestling fan in a couple of years when my wife is like, okay, fine, maybe we can get her to not kill herself jumping off of something. It's tough. Yeah. Hey, there was a segment here I really enjoyed, but I don't know where it's going, and that always scares me. Like, hey, this is good. This could be bad. We'll find out how good this segment was in a few months. Tony D took Stacks to the same bridge where apparently they murdered 2 dimes, and the reason is that we know that is because he carried with him in his palm 2 dimes. Literally, a dime and then another dime is 2 dimes, and he threw them into the river again. In the same spot, 2 dimes went overboard twice. And I honestly thought it was really, really funny, and not like corny funny, like, oh, hey, actually really smart. Like the idea of hey, 2 dimes, get it? Because that was the name of the guy we tossed off of this bridge. But it's 2. It's one of them and 2 dimes. But Stacks thinks he's going to be killed himself and is totally fine with being whacked. Totally fine with it.
That part was weird. You should not have just
weird.
Volunteered. That's not very mob of you.
No, but the idea of this is how much that I love the Don, that I will do whatever I need to for the Don because he is the Don. It's like, no, you're not a soldier anymore. Now you're family, because we are at the Olive Garden. So you are family. And he gives him a leather jacket that has Tony D's eagle tattoo emblazoned on the back of it. This is the family crest. It is definitely not a tattoo that I got when I was drunk after a party sophomore year of college. It is the family crest, and now you will wear it on your back to signify that you are the underboss of the Angelo crime family. I love that they've now turned him. He's the baby face Don. Like, he's all about the family, and like because the heel would have absolutely just would toss Stacks off a bridge. For now, he looks like he's being a good guy, and he's honoring Stacks's sacrifices for the team. I don't know where this goes, because you can't have a Don and an underboss and then nobody else. You got to start bringing in other soldiers, and that's where I'm going. Like, okay, well, this is all going to hinge on who they bring in to be his lower guys. So,
yeah, you can't be an underboss and not a boss of anybody. But I guess they have tag belts and they don't have a division. So who am I to say? Yeah. This felt very Impact inspired. They love to write people off in these like meta mystery angles. Mm-hmm. I didn't know. It was kind of fun though. Like, I didn't know which way it was gonna go, because I thought, we've been saying for weeks, like, Tony D either needs more people or to be solo. I was like, is this how they make him solo and they just repackaged the other guy? But it was really well done. It was really well done. Tony G's fun, man. He's fun and he's really good in the ring. So hopefully he's in like a consistent program that's medium to high profile pretty soon, because I think that would be great for him. But this segment was great.
Mm-hmm. The thing about Tony D, and I hate making comparisons across brands, but the thing about Tony D that I always thought that they could have and should have done is make him their version of MJF, and not in a cuts promos way, but in a guy who is the unquestioned top up and coming heel who never wrestles matches. And then when he does, he's way better than he has any right to be. And that would be really, like, he always avoids the conflict. He has all of his guys fight for him, but when he fights, he's actually really good. And he always has all these guys who form a wall around him. And in that kind of way. And now they're making him babyface. I don't know. Maybe they're not actually doing it. Maybe it's a swerve. You never know. But I don't know. But I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with this. But I always thought you could make him a really big character on the show that doesn't have to wrestle all the time. But when he does, it's a damn fine match. I think there's something there you can do it. Yeah. Now, let's see. Waller is a different kind of MJF in that he just doesn't shut up and you're supposed to want to punch him. It's a different kind of thing. But yes, I get it. People now are deciding. Jam Beard says mini daughter Pawlowski is now the -1 of SGS.
Alex Graps Jr.
Yeah, there you go. Yes, there you go. JDB Pringle says Tiny Sour Pawlowski, 2040 Intergender Champion of the World, with her finishing move, the Curse Splash.
I'm in. Her and Ricky Rainbow. Ricky Rainbow as our manager. Oh, it's perfect.
That would be good. That would be very good. Yeah. Before we move on, Henry T. Casey says, unrelated but amusing to me, I recently had the Applebee's margarita that uses the Rock's tequila, and wow, that was a reek drink. And listen, I love you, Henry the Casey, but this is on you. If you're going to Applebee's and ordering a mixed drink that features the Rock's tequila, I don't know what you were expecting. So
I also think, what is Henry? I know where, not specifically, but I know the general area where Henry the Casey lives, and I can promise you there are plenty of food and drink options. What are you doing at an Applebee's?
They should have gone to the Olive Garden, eh?
Yeah, because you're
the free unlimited breadsticks and the salad and soup and salad. It's like a meal in itself. Jambeard says, bring in Hank Walker and Tank Ledger into the Tony D mob, call them Hank and Tank.
I just want that as a tag team.
Hank and Tank's a great, yeah, that's good. That's good. That's really good. So this is the thing. I tweeted this at you. I sent you with a DM. Toxic Attraction speak tonight. And I'm like, hooray. What?
Like that was enough, but then I also saw that two things, because they put up the graphics, you know,
Right.
and they put up two other graphics that were just a person or a tag team, which means they're not facing anyone, they're just talking. And I was like, you can't promote 3 talking segments. That's a little much.
Yeah. So they spoke, and listen, like, I guess this is what they're going to do. They're going to do a can they coexist storyline. I hope the answer is yes, they can. Even if they lose their match versus Roxanne, they can still coexist, because the idea that you've built like an actual tag team and had them be the tag champs in NXT, and then they'll never get a run as a tag team on the main roster when you have literally no tag teams anywhere, is so dumb that I can't even process it. So I really hope they're not breaking them up. I still say, like, one of my favorite matches that Asuka had in NXT during her title reign was when she was pissed at the Iconics and said, I want both of them. And they let her wrestle basically a handicap match. And I know Roxanne's not the same style of wrestler as Asuka was, but just the idea of, like, there was no, like, the Iconics didn't try and steal pins from each other. They were trying to win the match. And I know they're going to do something like they're stupid, where they're going to, like, oh, because they were so selfish, they cost each other the match thing. And it's just like, they basically ran that angle tonight. So
I also just feel as though, like, put them with Sonya. Sonya's not doing anything, and she should be. Like, just call them up. They've done all there is to do. They shouldn't. I love Gigi Dolan. And I'm just less familiar with JCJ, and I didn't really know her work before NXT. But yeah, so I don't think they should be singles competitors, not because they're not capable of it, but the main roster tag picture really needs help, man. Come on now. Send them up. But yeah, it's going to be, I like it because that means Roxanne beats 2 people in a title defense. It makes her look strong, but when they beat themselves, it kind of takes away from that. So hopefully they just agent it better than what we're used to.
Yeah.
Hi, Daphne.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, they get attacked by Lyra Valkyria, and then
she's real good, man.
Yeah, she is. And then she gets beaten up by Toxic Attraction and saved by Roxanne Perez, and they make the main event Roxanne Perez and Lyra Valkyria versus Toxic Attraction in the main event.
Can we start calling them, what would Danhausen call them? The Poison Girls or something? Because Mandy Rose isn't there, so I feel like they're not like really Toxic Attraction.
No.
We should just call them like the Poison Gals.
I like Gigi and JJ. That's just what we always used to call them. Because,
that's true. GJ.
Yeah. So I do like this, though. Jambeard trying to help us out.
Sorry, Tom LaValle goes, no tag team stays together as long as Vince is in control. Giving advice.
There you go. Very good. Jambeard says, looking at the NXT roster online, there's a lady on there called Secretary G. That's it. No first name or anything. Maybe she can join the mob too. No, she can't, because she is, of course, porn accountant's porn assistant. Like, that's who she is. She's Kiana James's assistant, and so she's already been spoken for. She's not allowed to join the mob because she's got other things to do.
Was Shorty G not enough of a failure that you had to Secretary G?
Secretary G. Yeah. As 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 Luis calls her, hija de contadora de porno, which is of course is Spanish for daughter of porn accountant. It's great. So Ivy Nile yelling at the Creeds about them being stupid in their things with gender and I mean, she's not wrong, but I don't know. Like, I don't know where this is all going. I know it's probably going to go to Brutus getting a match with Jinder and him losing that, and then them getting a. Was there a report on what the hell Veer was up to last week?
I think he lost a family member, actually.
Well, there you go. It's one of those things where like Veer is not here could mean literally anything. Sure. And if there's no follow-up, then I get to be the asshole who asked that question and get a terrible answer, especially on the night tonight.
You didn't ask it aggressively. You just asked if there were reports of where he was.
Because it was a weird thing because it was odd. We were like, Veer and Sang are supposed to have a match at New Year's Evil, a named show against the Creeds. Sang comes out and all he says is Veer is not here. I mean, I guess you don't want to say like he lost a family member, he's attending a funeral or whatever.
No, but the way they book makes it feel like it's a part of an angle when it's not
right when it's so not. Like,
and yeah, it's just a little
especially
confusing.
Like whenever he can come back, the idea of Jinder leading into Cher as a triumvirate, like actually, yeah, NXT is the perfect spot for that kind of thing. Yeah, make it work because I think Sangha has a lot of upside. I think Veer is already like a real talent in the ring, and Jinder is a former WWE champion. That's all I'll say about him because that is a true fact. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see that.
Yeah, I want Ivy Nile to wrestle a lot. She's great, and I would like to see her wrestle a bunch of matches.
Yeah,
is often.
Yes.
On not level up.
No. Hey, so here's what's not awesome. HBK's writing team deciding what a streamer is and then writing promos for Stevie Turner to recite as their version of what it. Hey, everybody, welcome to the stream. I am going to react to something, and here's a bunch of weird dialogue about the thing I'm reacting to.
They have the perfect example out there, which is Alex Sourgraph's YouTube, who has been streaming Red Dead Redemption 2, and I'm allowed to join because I'm not scared of this one.
Yeah. That's horrible and sad, and I'm sorry that I missed that. Veer posted on Twitter last week his dad unexpectedly passed away, and again, those unexpected passing away, that's just the worst.
It does feel like last week was 6 years ago at this point.
It feels like last week the episode of our podcast was 6 years long.
There it is.
And so that's what it feels like to me. But yeah. Jam Beard says, I want Diamond Mine to get called up so we get them versus Judgment Day, Ivy versus Rhea, Strong versus Valor, Creed's destroying Shamrock Shake. Yeah, Roddy Strong, is he ever coming back, or what was the deal with that angle? He was running her by a car.
Sean has been asking about it. I don't think we've gotten answers, but I know Sean has mentioned that he's been asking about it.
He was run over by a car, and then we saw him in the hospital once. He seemed to be progressing, so we'll see. We'll see what that is.
Tim Beatty said she doesn't even say send us your biddies.
No.
That's what I say at the beginning of more traditional episodes than this.
Right, yeah, exactly. How is she a real Twitch streamer if she doesn't say send us your biddies?
Send us your biddies, yeah.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Well, but considering they were outlawed in the company for a very long time, I don't know if you ever got a chance to watch them. maybe they could assign Matt Bloom to watch some Twitch streams as opposed to what he spends his actual time watching.
No, I don't want that guy having a handle on social media anywhere. I'm good.
Oh boy. Okay, so getting back to it, because we'll keep coming back to it. Grandmaster Too Sweet says, "Rest in power, Jay Briscoe. All the universe's love to his family, and also to Team Kalex and the SGS on this sad day. I was crying before the stream started, and feel like I'm grieving with my SGS family on this sad day." It is an odd thing, that grief over somebody that you've never met, don't have a real connection to, except for you were a fan of their work. I think it's weird how it hits you in weird ways for whatever reason. Like a lot of, especially when it's something that's senseless. I was inconsolable, like for hours, when Philip Seymour Hoffman overdosed. Just inconsolable. It surprised the hell out of me, because like he was one of my favorite actors, and I always there was always that thing of maybe this is again a decade ago. Maybe one day when I was firmly pursuing acting as a career, maybe one day I'll get to work with him and I'll get to tell him how I studied all of his films and like all of the nuances of his performances. And when I got the news, it was one of those things I was like, this can't be true. So I'm shutting down everything because I don't want to know anything more about it, because it's going to come out later that somebody misreported it. And then I won't be sad for these 3 hours. And then when it became true, I couldn't take it. So like everyone has something, but sometimes it'll surprise you, your reactions in that kind of way. And everyone grieves in different ways.
Chris Cornell, for me, like he's one of my favorite songwriters and musicians of all time. But I started a new contract that week, and I cried on my drive there. I cried at lunch. I cried after work, like for days. And I knew I would be affected, but I didn't think I was going to be a whole week like crying more than I've cried at people that I was expecting to. A lot of people have that. Yeah.
There's a lot of real tough ones. I'm seeing like Robin Williams and Kobe and David Bowie, Scott Hall.
Chester Bennington was like, weird.
It's also
Brody Lee. Gosh,
of course. Brody Lee was horrible too. Sometimes it'll hit me later. Like how many years ago was Chris Cornell? And on a random thing, like on my, listening to music, Audio Slave came on, and I was a friggin' mess for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like a Stone came on, and I was a friggin' mess, and it was just. And it was just one of those things. Like I don't know the last time I even thought of it, and
it's just also like audio. I mean, hearing someone who's now passed sing "To Be Yourself" is all that you can do to forget it. Like that made me cry while he was alive. Are you kidding? What a powerful statement.
Yeah.
But yeah. I know this is a weird night, you guys. So just. If you are just joining us, we're asking that nobody speculate on anything outside of what Fightful has reported. So I keep saying that like it's live radio, kind of like I had to do last week, because it's very it's a tough situation, and we're all trying to get a handle on it. But we're gonna go with what Fightful has confirmed.
Yeah. Jambeard says the two celeb deaths that broke me both times were Robin Williams and Paul Walker. Never thought I'd break for a celeb like that.
That's what it is with celebrities. It's the part where it's like, I've never even met this person. Like, yeah.
And Luis says his was Umaga.
Yeah.
Derek Evans says my heart goes out to Jay Briscoe's family and to Kevin Nash. Yes. Michael Branson, a 10-month member of the Fightful YouTube, says, "I love you all. Pass it on." What a wonderful, simple statement. I love you all. Pass it on.
I love you too.
Yeah, we love you. We love you too. That's so true. Yeah, that was awesome. These past few days, Lisa Presley and now Jay, R.I.P. Yeah, it's crazy. Like, there's a lot. There have been a few of them recently. Some celebrity deaths that kind of like were like, oh shit, really?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you know who like it didn't hurt for me, but it hurt me empathizing with other people who I know viewed this guy as an absolute hero to them because of what I did, my experience with it. When Chadwick Boseman passed away, I went to see Black Panther in a theater in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I swear, like, it was not like Milwaukee, Wisconsin has a very large African-American population. This theater was 95% Black. And to like watch it with like all of these young Black kids getting to watch their superhero. It was a cathartic experience just to be in the room with them. And I was thinking, like, and still thinking about it gets me choked up. For those kids, when Chadwick passed away, how that must have affected them. Because it was only a few years later that he died. Those kids were still kids when he died. Like, and so like thinking of it that way, like I really loved Chadwick Boseman's work and all of the movies he did, but I didn't have a personal connection to him except through getting to watch these other people connect to him, and that still does it, man. Yeah, jeez. Taylor says, "Love you guys. Thank you for doing what you do."
Thank you, Taylor.
Thank you, Taylor. Yeah. The 17-month Fightful main roster member. Thank you so much, Taylor. So Sol Ruca defeated Alba Fyre. Because Isla Dawn showed up in the Raven's Nest, and Alba Fyre couldn't contain herself, even though she won the last match versus her. Like, beat her conclusively in a hardcore match. The sight of Isla Dawn, like, made her lose her mind and walk directly. Apparently, she's the only person in wrestling who hadn't seen Sol Ruca's finishing move before, so she just walked right into it. Like, what are you doing up there? Oh, I and it was like, here's the thing. As soon as they announced this match was happening, I was like, okay, one of two things. Either they're going to give Sol Ruca the win, or they're going to have Sol Ruca hit her finisher, and for some reason, Alba Fyre rolls out of the ring, or somebody's going to start a feud with Sol Ruca and pull her out of the ring, or she's trying to get a pin, or pull the ref out of the ring, or whatever. They're going to protect that finisher, but that finisher is happening on television as opposed to on Level Up. It looks great. It's they call it the Soul Snatcher. Great.
So good.
It doesn't make Alba Fyre look good that she is so out of it that she like loses her mind just seeing Isla Dawn again 40 feet away from her where she can't actually interfere with the match, and then walks directly into the finisher, the only place she can be where the finisher is effective. If she just hadn't taken, let's say she took 5 steps toward Sol Ruca standing in the corner. If she had taken 3 steps, she can't hit the finisher. Just stop walking directly toward her. Anyway, I love Alba Fyre. Later, she decides she's going to pick a fight with the TikTok tag team with Caden and Katana, and then she's going to have like a handicap match. She wants the tag titles by herself. But something was said during this little thing between Caden and Katana and Alba Fyre. Caden and Katana are the longest reigning women's tag champs in NXT history. It feels like they won those belts a month and a half ago. I don't know how long it's been. It feels like a month and a half. And that, I mean, maybe it hasn't been like 10, 12 months. So that is an indictment of your tag division if the longest reigning champions are these people. So, yeah.
What division? There's kind of Tatum, Paxley, and Ivy Nile. Right? Like it's the same thing on the main roster where we'll have tag programs, but not a tag division. So it just makes everybody look kind of pathetic. Match was really good. I'm impressed with how good Sol Ruca is already, not just with the finisher, but she's getting very good. She's getting really good, which is awesome to see. A little nervous that they're trying to turn Alba Fyre spooky too. I don't need that. Like she got misted and now she is possessed or what. Like I don't need any of that in my life. Just let Kaylee Ray go do really cool things on the main roster and hang out with Becky Lynch maybe. And yeah, man, when was the last? Can you name 3 TikTok tag team title defenses? Like
Zoe and Nikita when Zoe turned on Nikita, and that's the only one I can think of. They are the longest reigning NXT tag champs and the second longest reigning WWE women's tag champs of all. Only the Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane, have had a longer reign as women's tag team champions in the entire company than currently Kaden and Katana. And I can only honestly right now remember one title defense.
I think they had a return shot with Toxic Attraction.
They must have, but I don't remember it. I don't remember anything about it.
Because I don't remember the match. I remember saying, I think I do remember saying like, wow, this is actually the best they've looked as a tag team, and that was really encouraging. And I remember feeling like Toxic Attraction was wrestling more after they dropped the belts than when they had them, and being like, this feels weird and backwards. So that's all I can remember. But yeah, they've had them since August. I can't really remember any defenses.
Dewdrop and Nikki Cross. Remember that weird thing they did for one time? Right. Yeah, there you go.
That was weird.
Shauna Walensky says Jay Briscoe is bringing me back to Eddie Guerrero's death. I have the same emotions. My heart is with his children as I have lost both of my parents unexpectedly. Let people know you love them. It's life's too short, and that is a very simple, facile aphorism, but it is absolutely true. Life's too short to hold grudges. Life's too short to not let people know that you love them as often as possible. Yeah. That's yeah.
This is Ramos said Sean stopping by the show at a few on Twitter, so I guess Sean's gonna be coming by.
All right. Well, there you go. That's
glad you told all y'all.
Wonderful. That's gonna add another. Like, we were getting close there to the end. I mean, not really, but still. And now it's gonna be there. All right. Before he comes in, Dave Feely has asked if Scripps can use his skills to call up Alba Fyre and remove Von Wagner. I don't know. I don't know. I'd have to get a hold of.
We don't have control over that guy.
We don't, and not in any way. No one does. Really, not really. So.
I know is that yesterday on Fightful Select, we saw you and Scripps on screen at the same time.
Right. So it proves that it's not me.
It's not you. Yeah, of course.
It's me.
Oh my gosh.
It's me, Jesse the Body Ventura. I'm Scripps. It's me. That's me over here. No, I can't. I've been talking to HBK and Lord Tensai down there in NXT in the performance there. I say that Alba Fyre, she's lighting the fire under a lot of these women, but she got to get called up. Just pair with Nikki Cross up there. Nikki Cross is up there on the main roster doing doodles on the floor and screaming about it on your digital exclusives. Put her on TV, for God's sake. That's right. Kaylee Ray and Nikki Cross, put them on Raw together and have them back up Becky Lynch in their feud with Damage Guitar. That's what I got to say. Anyway. So no, I can't do it on purpose, but I've been putting in a good word.
We appreciate that, and we appreciate you, Scripts.
All right. Well, but I gotta go because I'm getting a message from the aliens. So bye.
What happened?
I don't know, but yesterday I had Scripts and you on, and today I had Sean and Scripts on. It's been a day, but Sean, thanks for hopping on. We've had a good blend of sincere in what you just walked in on today, but
that's good. I think we need a little bit of humor as well, and whatever Scripts does. I'm still not sure exactly what that is at all in a world, but man, this is obviously a bummer. The Jay Briscoe news. It is, and you just see this outpouring of people who love to work with him, and oh man, there are very young lives that are being battled for right now, and that's just, it's tragic, and it's terrible, and it's heartbreaking, man. It really sucks, especially considering the nature of it. And I love the video that emerged of Jay Briscoe practicing his daughter's cheerleading routine with her. That is adorable. And you see how much that she meant to him. And it's just, man, it sucks. It absolutely sucks from a human perspective, from a professional perspective, from a viewer standpoint. Like it sucks really, really bad. And tragically, that young, man, life is precious. And we're very fortunate as fans and viewers that he was able to give us so many memories. And I mean, like, there's literally a physical Fightful award trophy with his name on it en route to my house right now, because little spoiler, they won tag match of the year. No big surprise there. For a match that happened like last month, like a few weeks ago, and they put their heart and their soul into everything. And I think there are a lot of fortunate people that this past year who got an opportunity to see them traveling. They saw them in Impact. They saw them GCW. They saw them on the Indies. They saw them at WrestleCade. They saw them in Ring of Honor. A whole lot of people were very fortunate to be able to watch Jay Briscoe perform and do something that very few people are as good at anything as Jay Briscoe is at performing. And we all got to enjoy that gift. And I hope, with all the Warner Brothers Discovery Briscoe's stuff that had preceded all this, one, I'm hopeful they just say, okay, Mark Briscoe can be on TV, and two, they are allowed to pay appropriate tribute, which I'm sure they will be. Man, and people are asking what's going to happen to the tag titles. Who cares, man? Like, at this point, who cares? Like, I see, man, I saw that Kevin Nash clip this week, and I saw how just broken up he was over his son. And I was honored, and I don't know which other way to put it, that they trusted me to put that news out there into the world. And this is a situation where this news is just hitting family, friends, fans, loved ones, colleagues, coworkers, like a ton of bricks, man. Like, this is horrible. The circumstances surrounding it are tragic, and damn,
yeah,
man,
it's just
like,
so much bigger than wrestling is what we were saying. Is it starts with the human being behind it all, and
his family, and his family, his poor family that not only is dealing with that, but multiple people in critical condition that tied to this situation. But man, it's one of those things that, of course, you never predict, you never see coming, you can never prepare for, because nobody prepares to like have someone that they adore, that they care about, go in this manner. It just doesn't. It's not something that you can really just say, here's my plan for this. But man, we're sending our love to family, friends, fans, coworkers. It's a bummer of a day, and it's going to be a bummer for a very, very long time. And it's very unfortunate that specifically that group, that even that professional family, has suffered another great loss 2 years after they had an indescribable one as well.
It's been pretty crazy to think about the fact that he was only 38 and he had 2 decades of wrestling in his back pocket. Was something that was kind of an emerging theme of the chats tonight, which I think says certainly a lot about his wrestling capabilities. And I was just saying that I think it's crazy how synonymous he is with ROH, but Impact, New Japan, like he had such an expansive mark on the wrestling world. And we see how in love FTR is with tag team wrestling. I think the Briscoes are right there, not just in their matches, but their commitment to just tag team wrestling as an arc. He was an individual champion twice, but they were the Briscoe boys. They were dumb boys. So just a really terrible situation, and so much bigger than wrestling tonight. We did mention NXT.
I mean, Mark's birthday is tomorrow. Mark's birthday is in like 15 minutes. Oh. I mean, it's gut wrenching.
In 8 days.
What is it?
Yeah, they 39 in 8 days. Kishara reminds us Jay's 39th birthday would have been the 25th in 8 days.
Yeah. Oh man. And also I want to share, like, I posted this on Twitter. It's my favorite picture I've ever taken at a wrestling event. And God, like, as soon as I saw this, like, you knew something special was happening anyway. But as soon as visually I saw this, I was like, oh my God, I'm about to see something I'm never, ever going to forget in my entire life. Like, just, I still get chills thinking about this, and how you just had 2 teams that busted their ass go out there and do what they did. And we were so lucky to get treated to those matches this year or last year. Oh my God, we are so lucky to be able to see that. We're so lucky that he shared his gift with us. And now Mark, I'm not going to put words in his mouth or anything. Like, he's never known a wrestling landscape without his brother. Like, they came in together, they did everything together. Like, and Jay reached these incredible heights in ROH, and Mark stayed there busting his ass too.
Yeah.
And Jay never left him behind. Look where they were. They were world tag team champions. Like, man, I looked at both of these guys and, like, man, they are television stars. And I really wish they would have gotten that opportunity to be that on AEW TV. But you can never change what went down. But I look back now and this unspeakable tragedy. I'm like, man, we are just so lucky that we got to see him perform for so long. It was just so great. And we got people asking, like, some of my favorite Jay Briscoe singles matches. Well, how about this one? Jay Briscoe versus Mark Briscoe back in 2007. Jay Briscoe versus Mark Briscoe was great. Jay Briscoe and Joe in a cage match. Like, gosh, I want to say 18 years ago. Him and Roddy Strong was incredible. Adam Cole.
Big
Ladder
time.
War, baby. Ladder War. It was unbelievable. And it's like, you want to talk about, he's got a laundry list of incredible matches from a team perspective, from a singles perspective. Kevin Owens, my gosh.
He did 6-man championship work in New Japan and ROH. Like, didn't whatever context he was in, he knew how to wrestle successfully in it.
He's never given the credit for this. He or Mark, and they're both up there. They are two of the best ladder performers of all time, but because their ladder matches didn't happen in WWE and AEW,
right.
They don't necessarily get the credit that they deserve. Like ANX, that was an incredible ladder match. There was the one with SCU and the Bucks, which was just unbelievable. Of course, the Adam Cole match. Tama Tonga, Gorillas of Destiny, that was really, really good. Like the Generico and Steen one, oh my God, man. Like they were so perfect, so incredible at ladder matches, especially. And I hope that they get the credit they deserve there as well. But again, I feel so lucky that I got to see him perform. And they had just an incredible run with some like being on ROH for the appearances they made, but also they squeezed into Impact. Like that was, I didn't expect that to happen. That was so cool. I got to see them win the tag titles there. That was very, very cool. But man,
just a heads up, we're not speculating on anything that hasn't been confirmed and reported by Fightful. There's been a lot of that going on in the chat. We're talking about human lives here. Please don't speculate on things we don't know.
Yeah, not interested in that. We had people that were asking me that, like, when there was a tweet out, like, kind of saying that this might have been happening. I was like, well, it's not mine to put out there. Like, I'm not putting this out there. That's somebody else's to put out there. And, man. Well, I just want to thank you all for letting me jump on. We're gonna talk more about this on Listen You Boy Wednesday, obviously, and we're gonna try to gain some more information, and we'll try to honor Jay Briscoe as best we can on that show as well. But I appreciate you guys letting me stop by.
Absolutely, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for popping in. Yeah. Sucks.
Yeah. It does. R. Harris says, I'm in shock. I was going to see them in November, but I had to be hospitalized due to a heart problem. I was a huge Dem Boys fan. R.I.P. Jay. Hope you're feeling better now from your heart problem. But yeah, it's tough, man. Tough for a lot of people. Backwood Billy says, this hurts. R.I.P. Jay Briscoe. Reach for the sky, boy. Justice Gilliam says, appreciate y'all. Well, we appreciate you. Thank you so much. And Jay Jambeard says, I would like to see next week's Dynamite be a Jay tribute show. I don't know how fast they can throw something together in 24 hours, but maybe they could. But I think definitely next week you can fly in a lot of people. You can do like a whole thing. I mean, provided that Warner's not a butt about this, but like there's so much there that could be done to honor him. We just
they could just do like a tag battle royal or whatever, like just a sincere acknowledgement to the best parts about him. I think would be
yeah. The kid says, not familiar with a lot of his work, but I do remember from the little I've seen how great of a wrestler he was. Lost an aunt and uncle over the holidays unexpectedly. Sorry for your loss. Tell your loved ones how you feel. Absolutely, 100%.
Sorry to hear about your loss.
Yeah. Gary Sarver says, the first time I saw the Briscoes, what ROH, one show of them was not allowed to wrestle because he was too young. Oh, he's too young. Yes. He was started at like 16, 17 years old. They need to be special. Of course, like there's, you could tell that they watching some of their earliest stuff, like, oh, these guys were born to do this. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you just pick it up immediately. You know what you're doing, and that's definitely them. Hard to pivot back, but we'll do it. Gallus defeated Double Vest in the Beach. Briggs and Jensen lost to Gallus. It was a competitive match. Gallus pulled up the padding around the ring and Vic Joseph said definitively, if they put one of these guys on the concrete, they're going to get suspended. And later they did. They're not getting suspended. There was no mention of it when they actually did. They did a back body drop. It was fully intentional. Apparently Briggs has Jensen has a bad back. Through that most match landed on the concrete. Fallon came out to check on him, but so did Kiana James. Oh, they don't like each other, that Fallon Henley and Kiana James. This led to Briggs having to fight 2-on-1, and he lost. So backstage in the trainer's room, Fallon Henley like yelling at Briggs about, she's using you, and he had a point. Using me for what? You got to keep the bar. So now, like, you just can't accept that she likes me, and I like her, and she's sticking around. So you got to deal with it. And I love that she does the line like, well, when she breaks your heart, I'm not going to be around for you to cry on my shoulder. And then later she comes up and apologizes in a different scene, and it's like, oh, it's okay. So you know what? You're right. And I got Kiana James to be my tag partner next week, and I wonder if they'll be able to coexist. Is also a theme that they're using for the top story in the women's division, unironically just doing the same basic thing.
Like, and I mean, like 45 minutes later.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. Yep. So, yeah. I don't know. It's like it's just a weird thing. Like, I mean, I won't be able to process if they just have Kiana James unironically fall for Beej. I'm not gonna be able to process it. So there has to be another swerve. There just has to.
No, yeah. I mean, she's gonna use him to. He seems like a simple-minded folk. She's gonna use him to get a rematch, right, with Fallon Henley.
Yeah, something like that. Thea Hale got her first win. She beat Valentina Feroz. They're doing. I listen. I like it when there's two different storylines that dovetail. Elektra Lopez trying to get Valentina Feroz to cheat in a match where it's also Thea Hale's trying to get her first win, and there's tension. There's major tension between Duke Hudson and Professor Andre Chase. So like they're trying to do dovetailing storylines, which is always good. It's just that I don't give a damn about either of these storylines, so that's tough.
I'm getting week over week way more into Chase U. I like the dissension.
I guess I don't understand what the dissension is about. Like, somebody videotaped you, the hacker. The hacker videotaped you talking to somebody in Chase U about these losses look bad for Chase U.
Yeah,
look bad.
It's like wins and losses matter, kind of.
Yeah, it's like, so Andre Chase is angry because Andre Chase, a guy who does nothing but yell expletives at his students, is angry at Duke Hudson for saying that losses reflect poorly on the university. I don't understand why they're angry at each other. That's very dumb.
Most importantly, I got a picture of the hacker. Do you want to know who it is?
Please. No, I don't think it's him. I don't.
I don't know. I see I do see a striking resemblance. It's pretty funny. Backwards hat, glasses. I don't know, Alex. Kind of looks like you are in the mud. Kind of looks like you're nervous over there. Kind of looks like maybe you're not doing so great. the ad that I went to play isn't uploaded, and this ever getting weirder night. Let's see if it's in this bucket of things. Hey, oh, we're not Sean, but
No.
you know what it is about Sean?
What's about Sean?
He's not the two, he the ones.
Mm-hmm.
We talk a lot about
AG.
performance here at Fightful. And you know, if you want that performance, you want Athletic Greens 1. athleticgreens.com/Fightful. So excited to work with Athletic Greens. You can get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase if you visit athleticgreens.com/Fightful. And you might be asking, what is Athletic Greens? Well, 1 scoop of AG1 contains 75 vitamins, minerals, whole food sourced ingredients, including a multivitamin, multimineral, probiotic, green superfood blend, and more in 1 convenient daily serving. I took multivitamin tablets before this. Our strength and conditioning coach said you should probably move on to something more digestible, recommended AG1. I loved it. I love how it made me feel, love the energy that it gave me. And it got me a whole lot more vitamins than I was taking in general because it absorbs a lot better. Athletic Greens 1, it effectively replaces all those products, pills, with 1 healthy drink. athleticgreens.com/Fightful, and check them out on Twitter at Athletic Greens. Let them know you heard about them from us.
I just don't see it. I don't think that's me at all. I don't know. So it's definitely not the hacker. The hacker is it's being reminded to us that the hacker is actually 2 people, because 1 week it was a woman's voice and the next week was a man's voice. But I guess the hacker could probably hack things to make it sound worse. You know, I don't know.
It's true.
Yeah.
Voice modulation.
So wait, maybe it's not. Maybe it's not that hacker. Maybe it's this hacker. See, you never know. It could be this. This could be the hacker. I'm not really sure. There's a lot of different possibilities to be hacker. Yeah. Not sure, but anyway.
You know what my favorite part of any Sean ad read is, by the way?
Mm-hmm.
When he becomes aware of his hair.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be like, Athletic Greens. I needed to stop. I was taking a multivitamin before this, and I needed to make something more digestible. Usually there's 1 point in an ad. It's not even like super long or sustained, but it's just like, I'm aware.
Yeah.
It fixes it.
Mm-hmm. Jambeard says, so Alex, so what you're saying is that porn accountant's going to use Beej for the win? Yeah, something like that. I mean, I don't know why exactly she's involved in any of this. She's better than this. Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Michael Dammit also says, let's take time to acknowledge the news about Amari Miller. We almost lost her last week. The kid, it says, sending lots of prayers to one of my favorite 2.0ers, Amari Miller. So glad she's still with us. You never know what people are dealing with. Spread the love. I always say, man, you never, ever know what people are going through.
Yeah, it was really...
Some people are really good at masking it, and you never know what people are going through. And it costs you nothing to be kind to people.
And when you because I went to go see her post, and if you just looked at social media, you would have thought that girl was on top of the world. You just never know. You never know what someone's up against.
Right. CO says, I've been watching on delay, and obviously tonight is not the night for my particular skill set. CO is fantastic at the puns. We're not doing those tonight.
It's true.
He says, but yeah, olive juice, you both too.
See, tastefully done.
Jambeard says on SmackDown, KO should do the J Driller to Sammy as like a little
a tribute. Yeah,
there's going to be a lot of tributes among wrestlers over the next few weeks that I think that somebody might be able to see the tip of the hat. There's an interview with Grayson Waller where he turns out he also thinks he's the champion because he's now carrying around a replica belt and saying he's the champion now. Yep. And
like
and
you didn't win
no
the match,
but that's who he is. Braun Breaker actually I thought did a really, really good job here, being matter of fact about it. Like, yeah, he hit me with that knee, and I didn't know where I was for a few minutes. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I wanted to be able to beat that guy, stand over him, say I'm better than you, and hoist the title up because that's what I do. For whatever reason, the match didn't end that way because of, and yeah, let's do it again. He's a really good trash talker, but the thing of it is, the trash talk's not going to help him when I'm smashing his face into the cage, you know. And this is what a strong babyface champion who's confident should be. No, not jokes, you know. He's doing a really good job. He's not also his interview persona is very different than his in-ring, I'm here, I'm going to do some stuff, promo stuff.
I'm going to break a
things.
I like
that he's got two different things. That's good. Waller is insufferable, but that's the point of him. Yeah, so this is all right. They're making a big thing out of that. Waller doing his stupid run, jump into the ring, do a somersault thing, and he caught him with a knee. It was a nice spot, but they're making a big deal out of it. So I know for a fact they're going to do that exact same spot in the match, but they can't do it because there's a cage. So he can't do that. So he's going to have to try and do something else. And when he does that other thing, he's gonna get speared in half. I think like that's how that's probably gonna work.
I'll take it. I wish, or my favorite way that baby faces put over heels is just by acknowledging that they're good at wrestling, and that's exactly what Braun Breaker did in this. Like, I really like that. Of yeah, move with that knee. I was out. I didn't know what was going on. Is really good stuff. Like, it's okay to admit your competitor is good. That's the point, but you're better. So really liked that. Also liked his tonality in that. Nothing really to say about Grayson Waller's whole thing, except it's nice that he didn't lie tonight. Well, no, I guess he did because he had the fake belt. So, but didn't lie like about booking. So that's refreshing at least.
Yeah. The New Day come out. I've seen some stuff that like it was supposed to be a funeral segment and they had to change it obviously for that reason. Here's the thing. The only reason I'm even mentioning it in the speculation of it is, or what I've report that I've seen is because I don't know of any other reason they'd be dressed like this.
Correct.
Like,
yeah.
They were wearing like black tie. They weren't wearing blazers or anything, but they were wearing like black ties and dress slacks and shirt. Like, I don't know when this decision came down to alter the segment, but just them wearing a couple of New Day t-shirts wouldn't have been as jarring. It was an odd thing for them to come out and be like, we came out because we're celebrating the fact that we're done with Pretty Deadly. And then Pretty Deadly comes out and like, you're not done with us. All you had to do was go and get Ahmed Johnson's Road Warrior shoulder pads, and we would have given you the tag title match, which I thought was cute. But then Gallus comes out to declare
be Gallus.
Yeah. And then there's a brawl. And so New Day versus Gallus at Vengeance Day. Like, New Day being on the show is really good for Vengeance Day sales. I don't know if Gallus moves the needle. I would have really loved, as you said, I would have really loved to have seen a Creed's match here with a New Day, like babyface versus babyface, respect versus respect. I'm assuming they went to the same college. I know that Julius Creed Jacob Casper, as his actual name, went to Duke in North Carolina. So like having him have that match in front of like people that he went to college with and stuff, and friends of his basically home stomping grounds, would have been a really cool thing for them to do. Maybe they'll do the Creeds versus Indus-Sher there or something, or Jinder will be involved. I don't know. A 6-person tag with Ivy Nile putting Jinder Mahal in her little sleeper hold and choking him out. Wouldn't that be nice?
It would. I honestly, like, my thoughts on the segment are they did pretty good considering the circumstances. Mm-hmm. My guess is because of how late in the show,
right,
they even did the nod to what happened. Like, right. Maybe they were just being super safe and sure, and that's why there wasn't like a wardrobe change or anything. But this is perfectly fine. I agree. I think the match will be great. I want to see the Creeds versus the New Day. And they're such different types of faces that I think you could have pulled off something really cool here. But Gallus is great. Gallus is really strong, so that'll be a whole heck of a lot of fun. I don't know if I would want to fight Gallus and go do whatever athletic shit Kofi's gonna do in Rumble probably the next day, but good.
No, because that's different. Because the Rumble is 2 weeks from Saturday. Vengeance Day is 3 weeks from Saturday. Or 3 weeks from Sunday.
That's right.
So they're gonna do the Rumble first, and then the next week they got the NXT deal. It used to be that they would do Saturday, Sunday. They don't do those things anymore. So yeah. Tyler Bate's back, and boy, they sure made him feel like just a guy. Had him wrestle the comedy bad at wrestling guy, Javier Bernal. Whether or not he is, like the whole shtick for him is that he sucks. Everyone doesn't like him, and he's not good. He's annoying. Everyone doesn't like him. He's not good. That guy. There could have been I mean, I don't know against whom, but there could have been some kind of showcase match or something where like Tyler Bate got to have an even thing, but he just chucked Javier Bernal around the ring and won. But I'm going to choose to blame Javier Bernal because Tyler Bate gives a lot of people the Tyler Driver and doesn't botch it ever. So the fact that, like, I don't know what move Javier Bernal thought he was taking, but that was not the finisher. And just Tyler just giving up and pinning him after not actually doing the move. And then being like, we're done with this. Like, I was like, this is not the way you reintroduce Tyler Bate. Couldn't there have been something better than this? Where's Nathan Frazier? Am I still hurt? I don't want to be hurt anymore. Bring me back. Let me have a 10-minute sprint with Tyler Bate. It'll be great. And Bob's your uncle. Like, come on.
Am I still hurt? Was great.
Am I still hurt? I don't know.
I gotta get cleared. Yeah, no, this was a waste, but I'm just very excited to see Tyler Bate back. And I also thought it was weird that he was gonna play a song and that song was Feliz Navidad. Mm-hmm. Weird choice. Yeah. And not like a funny one. Weird one.
Yeah. Luis here has written Booker does not watch the product, and like, well, obviously, but I don't know in what specific thing you're referencing there, Luis. Give me some things so I can remember.
Well, that's what Luis is talking about.
Like
champagne, caviar.
He champagne, caviar dreams. Champagne wishes, caviar dreams.
Talking about this kid right here.
He did say, like, there was one thing he mentioned about somebody where it was like, I'm going to tell you all about this guy. This guy's great. And like, it was like, I don't know what this is.
Let me tell you something about this guy. This guy is great.
Oh, there he goes. He says, now, Vic, I am not familiar with Tyler, so tell me a little bit about him. I mean, come on. It's not a dude who's debuting.
Help me help you.
He's been in the company for a long time.
And it's also literally your job to know who's on the show.
Oh,
your commentary. You're supposed
the one.
To tell
yes,
us.
Also true. Here's the one thing that Booker did that I found slightly egregious was Elektra Lopez walked out and he goes, "Shucky ducky quack quack." I'm like, is that a sexual thing? Like every time that you've said "shucky ducky quack quack," are you expressing sexual lust for that thing that you're talking about? Because this one definitely was, and I thought it was a little bit much. So
That's
Lyra
incredible.
Valkyria and Roxanne Perez defeated Gigi Dolan and JC Jane. I had to go and help. Like my daughter was doing it. It's very sweet. It's a very cute thing, but she has anxiety too, and she will just decide that she cannot go to sleep unless Daddy comes and says goodnight to her a second time. She says, which is very sweet, and I like that. But sometimes, at the wrong time, it becomes like a thing I've got to do. And I was like, listen, I'm already behind watching this thing. I got to fast forward to catch up because of all the other times I've had to pause watching this. And I just sent you and Luis a thing so I'm assuming Cora Jade's going to interfere and cost Lyra Valkyria the match and that we're all good. Okay, I got to go and do something, which was to say goodnight to my daughter. And when I got back, it was the end of the match. And all I saw was Lyra Valkyria and Cora Jade fighting each other to the back and Roxanne Perez by herself versus her two foes. And I was like, man, this is not how I would book this. You don't want your new champ taking pinfalls here. Because obviously you're not going to have the two people she's facing 2-on-1. You're not going to prove in the first instance that there is that she can beat them 1-on-2, no problem. You're not going to do that. That's dumb. You have to create doubt in our minds. So what I would have done was to have them tag, double team her to knock her out of the ring, and then double team Lyra Valkyria and pin her, showing that they are a unit that can work together to get something done. Which, Roxanne Perez is going to have to deal with that. But instead, they just had Roxanne Perez beat the two of them together. And, I don't want Roxanne Perez taking pinfalls, but what is the story you're trying to tell leading up to your big match? You should be sowing doubt in us. We should be I don't know if
the big story is that they're going to have doubt in each other, right? That it's always going to be the other one's fault. Is that where we're going with this? You're the reason we lost. No, you're the reason we lost.
No.
Is going to be what we get.
But I don't want that. I don't want it because I want them to be a unit that gets to call up to the main roster and has tag team matches. But I also don't want it for
at
this
what
particular...
point, since I have started co-hosting with you, have you felt like this program was catering to what you want? Just at any point in the past year and a half.
Touche.
I think, yeah.
And we're, yeah, this is good. Yeah, the story is JC hitting GG twice in 2 weeks. I'm sorry that not only that I don't want it for me, but I think it makes for a worse build to the match.
Of course it does, yeah.
Have them appear from now until Vengeance Day like they are a well-oiled machine that work together perfectly. Because if one of us becomes champion, then we're both champion. And mostly what we want is Vengeance Day on Roxanne Perez for ruining Toxic Attraction, which they've said in the past. So you have them present as a united front. And then at the actual pay-per-view, that's when you can start playing around with whether or not they can trust each other. Not before. Then.
It's also just weird that their whole reason for revenge is something that they can't talk about or reference, specifically. You beat a third of who we were at one point. And, it just doesn't... It takes a lot of the bite out of it for me. But... I just don't know what they're supposed to do. They might not know what they're supposed to do with them because the Mandy stuff was very unexpected. But I think they should just be on the main roster. I've thought that since for when Mandy was champion that she should drop and they should move up. But now more than ever, just call them up. Sticking with Sonya. It could be really fun. Could be fun.
Yep. But no. Yes, but no. Jambeard says, sounds like Booker is slowly becoming Mike Adamle.
Nice.
Listen, nobody wants to slowly become Mike Adamle. No, that's a bad thing. Yeah.
Not great.
And Thomas, this is the whole point of this, is like this is my thing as well. If either of Toxic Attraction don't win the title, the group is a joke. You have a 2-on-1 advantage. And it's also like, listen, I love Roxanne Perez.
It's that.
The whole point of her is that she is a plucky underdog in a one-on-one match. Like, this is not somebody, you're not booking a Raquel Rodriguez match. Like, if they can't put their differences aside to win, then you might as well break them up. Like, it's a very odd thing. Yeah. Anyway.
Maybe they are.
That's
Hope
that's
not.
dumb. I mean,
It's a waste of a year and a half of investment or whatever that you put into them. So that's real dumb.
yeah.
But you have to split them up if they're not going up to the main roster, because what are they going to do as a tag team anymore? Like,
No.
there's no other teams in the division.
Well, maybe they'll just have Candice and Michin win it next week, and then there'll be baby faces in need of more. They'll break up Damage Katarl, and it'll be terrible. Brutalities sent in a sour chat, and I wanted to read it. They said, my first chat ever, and there's a good chance I'm going to fall asleep before hearing it, but tomorrow is my 40th birthday. Well, it's actually today now. I wanted to send love to the Sour Graps Society,
birthday!
Kate and Alex. Thank you for all the laughs and sour takes. I love y'all. It is a sad day for the wrestling world, but also it's time to celebrate Brutalities. Everyone needs to celebrate Brutalities, because that person has the greatest
Handle in the history of handles.
in the history of handle. Happy birthday, Brutalities.
Brutalities.
R.I.P. Jay Briscoe, and happy birthday, Brutalities. The duality of human existence.
Summed up.
R.I.P. Jay Briscoe, seriously, and happy birthday, Brutalities. It is, it's really terrible. Yeah. But this is something they sent hours and hours ago in the middle of the day and had no idea that Jay Briscoe was going to
Correct.
be senselessly killed in a tragedy. Michael Grooms sent something last night that I wasn't able to get to on the post Raw show, and I wanted to say it. Thank you for everything the two of you do in spreading smiles through sourness. I can't thank the both of you enough for putting a smile on my face. You're both awesome. Long live the Sour Graps community. Thank you so much, Michael Grooms.
Thank you, Michael Grooms.
Yeah, it's great. Jambeard says Toxic Attraction's revenge is for the fact that Roxanne sent Mandy back to her home planet, i.e. Poochie, and now we're getting rid of the third team out of 4 teams in NXT. Yes.
That is correct.
Yes. Yep. All right. So now we have the official silly part of everything.
Are we doing that?
I don't know. Like, we'll leave it to the chat. So we got a lot of jukeboxes sent in last week during the 4-hour the 4-hour panic show about the report about the Saudis buying WWE. It's a done deal. It's done. It happened. Turns out it didn't happen, and we were the only people on the internet who were like, we don't know that it's happened yet. Everyone else is like, this is a thing that has happened. So we had to talk about that for 4 hours last week. We didn't get around to the jukebox, even though people sent in stuff. Do we want to do that tonight? Are people in need of something to,
I feel like we should do it as a bonus episode on the back
Yeah.
of whenever we record Forget the Flick Out of Here this week.
Yeah,
Feels
we'll
weird.
do it as a bonus. Okay.
But that being
Do it as
said,
a
if you
bonus
want to
this week.
send in for the
Yeah.
for our first ever
Mhm.
jukebox extravaganza, well, actually, we'll promote it that way too. That'll be fun. We're gonna do a jukebox extravaganza, jukeboxes only, episode separate of this episode.
Yes.
And if you want to go to humperchats.com, you can send in your request there. And we're gonna let this stand alone for now.
Yeah.
It's very
There you
weird to go 2 weeks in a row without doing the jukebox, though.
It is.
Makes me itchy.
Yes. Shot Kid 29 says the Brody Lee tribute show was put together literally the evening before morning of Dynamite. So a tribute to Jay is not out of the question. Yeah, let's hope that's what they can do. You know?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what they're able to do. We've only thankfully had to see one of these in AEW before, and it was one of the most moving things I've ever seen on a television screen. So I trust Tony Khan with such a sensitive situation.
Yeah. All right. So it's really Brian has sent in a bunch of puns. We're not going to do those tonight either. So we'll
do the silly show.
We'll do the silly show. It's later this week. It'll be a silly show. So yeah, it should. We'll do it later this week. All right, everybody. Thank you for being here. Tell your people that you love them. Give them hugs. We don't know, what's going on with anybody, or when the last of it for any of us is going to be. So thank you all for being here with us. JD Pringle says, thanks guys, you two are amazing. So glad to be part of this community. This community is amazing. We're just happen to be the two people who have a face on a podcast about it. So thank you so much, everybody. And we love you. Love each other. The life's too short not to love each other. And until next time, we'll just say, keep it cool, Gabagools.